Welcome to the WTR Small Cap Spotlight podcast. I'm your host, Tim Gerdeman, Vice Chair and Co-founder and Chief Marketing Officer of Water Tower Research. Today I'm joined by Matt Edelman, CEO and Chairman of Super League Enterprise, NASDAQ ticker symbol SLE. Super League is an audience intelligence and activation company operating at the intersection of a 3.5 billion person global gaming population and roughly 200 billion of annual US digital advertising spend. By translating proprietary play-driven insights into measurable brand performance, Super League helps advertisers engage this high-value cohort across gaming environments, digital video, social media, and connected TV. Also joining is my WTR Equity Research colleague, James Kisner. Good morning, gentlemen, and thank you for joining me today to discuss Super League Enterprises.
Good morning.
So, Matt, great to have you on. And kick things off, I know you took over as CEO in April of 2025, and you were named chairman in January of 2026. For listeners who are new to Super League, can you please give us a short overview of what the company does and how you're thinking about that business model moving forward, please?
Absolutely. Thank you. It's really a pleasure to talk to you both. Super League, as you articulated in the intro, helps brands connect with the legions of people around the country initially, and eventually internationally who play video games. And just from a statistical standpoint, that is 80% of consumers under the age of 45. And that includes everybody from people who play Madden and Call of Duty to Solitaire and Candy Crush on their mobile phones.
Great. That's a huge total addressable market, to say the least. So, with that, I'll turn it over to James.
All right, thanks, Tim, and welcome again, Matt. Super League has gone through a significant financial transformation, I think it's fair to say, over the past year. So, can you talk about how you've improved your capital position and how that changed the way you're able to run the business?
Absolutely. It's a helpful question. We went through effectively a recapitalization last year. We started really working on that when I took over as CEO in April. We had a bit of a prohibitive balance sheet and cap table. Thankfully, over my first 6 months, we were successful in exciting a lead investor to come in and anchor a $20 million pipe transaction that helped us restructure a lot of outstanding debt and payables and layers of preferred shares so that we were able to emerge for the first time in several years debt-free with a healthy amount of cash on our balance sheet. And I also was able to streamline the cost structure. So it puts the company in a position where we are able to move forward without the approval of anyone other than our board and our shareholders, which is a really new and exciting place for us to be.
All right, that sounds great. So, you improved gross margins to nearly 45% and significantly streamlined the team. Can you talk about how the leaner operating structure is positioning the company to scale more efficiently and what kind of operating leverage investors should expect as revenue builds?
The real opportunity in the business that we operate is to leverage products and scalable solutions and intelligence derived from unique sources of data about the audiences who play video games in order to generate more business. And so effectively, a lot of brands enter the gaming space through one-off custom programs that are not repeatable. And there are an enormous collection of companies that try to chase those custom one-off activations. And it's very difficult to scale because most of the work is coming from people and man hours. We are focused on productizing our solutions and have done a nice job already in rolling out scalable products that help brands reach players inside the largest gaming platform in the world, Roblox, as well as Minecraft and Fortnite. And we are building an audience intelligence capability that will help us reach people who play video games, but outside of gaming channels where their preferences and motivations are equally as important for a marketer, even if they are on TikTok or YouTube or watching something on connected TV, compared to actually being inside of a game.
I think that's very helpful. So your model of blending media with insights derived from how people play video games is a pretty unique approach to brand advertising. Can you just kind of walk us through how it works in practice? Like, how does a brand like Google or Panda Express engage customers through a Roblox or a Fortnite experience? And what does that look like outside of a gaming platform?
That's a great question. Thank you, James. I think it all begins with um, our belief and the evidence that we're starting to see in our programs that the psychology of a person who plays video games influences how they engage with content and events and prompts, both inside gaming channels and outside gaming channels. So if you think about what drives gameplay, again, whether it's somebody who's playing a AAA title that's a sports game or it's a casual mobile game, they are thinking about making progress. They are thinking about the choices they can make to achieve an outcome. They have agency in that content experience. They are motivated by the progression. They are inspired to achieve rewards. Status means something. Even if it's a single player game, they like seeing that they now have won 4 solitaire games in a row. And that changes the way that they think about content. And so outside of gaming channels, if you understand that psychology, you're going to put slightly different creative messaging in front of people on TikTok and YouTube and connected TV, just as you are thinking about how to tap into the psychology when you are activating inside of a game itself. For us, we bring those insights to bear, and we have done that in immersive platforms, as you pointed out, with Google and with Panda Express, both over the past several months. With Google, we launched one of the first ever AI-themed gameplay experiences in Roblox, which was an update to their Be Internet Awesome World on Roblox, which is a part of a campaign to bring Google's AI literacy curriculum to young people in grades 2 through 8. With Panda Express, they have a lovable mascot in PayPay, and we were able to bring PayPay and rewards capability and unique interactive content into both Roblox and Fortnite, and really program that experience to not only reflect the brand's values and their brand objectives, but also take into account what we know about Roblox players in the cohort they were targeting, so that the dialogue between PayPay and players really tapped into that psychology that is so important when thinking about marketing to someone who plays video games. Again, 80% of every brand's audience for people under the age of 45.
Wow, that's a huge proportion. Thanks for that answer. Intriguing stuff. So, you made some interesting acquisitions and partnerships recently. So, Super Social, the Steak and Hide or Die, the Ad Arcade and ES3 partnerships, and most recently the acquisition of Let's Bounce in January of this year. Can you talk about how these fit into your growth strategy and what they bring to the platform?
Sure. Each one is a piece of what we see as a very exciting quilt. I don't want to call it a puzzle because there's an actual design purpose to it, and that design purpose is rooted in what I was speaking to a moment ago. The data that's available about people who play video games is extremely disparate, and while you can grab pieces of it as a marketer and make certain decisions in a vacuum, we think there's an opportunity to consolidate that data in a very powerful platform that can deliver very especially unique insights that drive improved results and effectively improve the return on an advertising spend almost everywhere that a brand spends money today, particularly across digital channels. So each of these partnerships and acquisitions allows us to grow our intelligence, allows us to be precise around the products that can leverage that intelligence and deliver either an interactive experience or a linear ad that is informed by data, and often have opportunity to exclusive products and exclusive inventory so that we can bring things to market that nobody else can bring. And so the acquisitions kind of fit into that framework.
Understood. That makes sense. So, let's talk about your last earnings call. You mentioned that booked revenue in Q4 had already exceeded, Q3, that your weighted pipeline was up 69% in 6 weeks. You had eight seven-figure opportunities active, which I believe you said was an all-time high. And I think you also gave some information on Q4 in your Q1 outlook in the shareholder letter in January. Can you just talk about the pipeline and how you're feeling about the business trajectory into 2026?
Sure. So last year was a very important transition year for Super League, and the majority of our executive attention was spent on recapitalizing and restructuring the company so that we could create shareholder value in an unrestricted way by growing the business. Whereas previously, even when we achieved growth, we had so many handcuffs in our way that it was very difficult to improve the value we were bringing to our stakeholders and our shareholders. And so, as we came out of that transition, we have been able to focus on building and effectively reestablishing operating momentum that will, we are sticking by what we said about where Q4 was headed, and we have our earnings coming up here soon, and we are happy that we achieved something in Q4 that is consistent with that operating momentum. But I think even more revealing in terms of where we're headed is that Q1 is still tracking to show year-over-year growth, and if we can get there, with confidence as we wrap up the quarter, I think it will be a good demonstration of how we've been able to turn the corner here. And then as we look going forward, I think it's important to kind of come back to the expanded purview that we're taking and that's being enabled by the types of insights that and the partnerships that we're bringing to market. So the amount of money that is spent outside of gaming channels in the US is about $200 billion in the places where we are going to be active, which include digital video, social media, and connected TV. We are starting to run programs that leverage our insights and the distribution in those non-gaming channels. Inside gaming channels, the total spend in the US is in the 10 to 20% range of that $200 billion size. And so going forward, the market opportunity is somewhere between 5 and 10x what it was previously for Super League.
That's quite an expansion of opportunity for you. It sounds like you have some momentum here. So, sort of zooming out here, or maybe looking out of it, as you look into 2026 and beyond, like what are the top 2 or 3 priorities for the company, and what milestones should investors be watching for?
I think first, we need to prove that we are continuing to grow our business in a scalable way. So seeing growth in revenue and maintenance or improvement in margins. And I think that is something we will have the ability to demonstrate in the second half of this year. And it is a top priority because that's our path to sustainable profitability. I also believe we'll be able to show additional progress through strategic opportunities that are effectively inorganic growth opportunities. The company has been recently pursuing and believes are available in order to grow the size of the overall business and really help support uh, the the operating leverage story that we talked about a few minutes ago.
All right, thanks for that, Matt. Seems like a really interesting story and transformation. It's great to see the progress that you've made. I'll hand it back to Tim to wrap us up.
Well, thanks, Matt and James, for joining me today to talk about Super League. It's a really interesting story, and I look forward to watching how it evolves in 2026. And thanks for your time. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, as well as visiting www.watertowerresearch.com to stay up to speed on the company's small cap written research reports, podcasts, fireside chats, industry specific symposiums, and conference schedules. We will see you next time for another edition of the WTR Small Cap Spotlight podcast. Finally, a special thanks to the producer and editor of the podcast, Krista Fitzpatrick.